Hi there everyone, it's Carol again. It's Monday morning. I did the live last night and I've been working a little bit on the journal that I covered in the live last night, and I actually started doing something and I thought that you might actually like to see it. So on this first page here I've added this little strip. So I kept all the strips when I ripped all my pages up and stuff. I kept all the little strips, and I've just added it onto the edge of the page here, and I'm just going through with my pokey tool and just poking some holes down it. I decided to get some of my embroidery threads out and do a little bit of embroidery in the journal itself. Now, I'm not doing these holes really close together. I'm leaving a you know what, maybe 1/4 of an inch-ish between each one. You could get a ruler out and measure if you so wanted. So I threaded my needle up, and I've got 3 strands of this lovely silk thread by my friend Jo. I'll put the link in the description box of her Etsy store or website, or both, but she does hand-dyed silk threads. Now, one of the no-nos when you're doing embroidery is don't start with a knot. In fact, I'm going to undo that. I want a double knot. But in this instance, I'm actually going to start with a knot because I'm naughty. So I'm going to do a double knot. All I'm going to do is a running stitch. So just basically up and down. That's all I'm doing. Just to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of difference on the page. And of course I want my thread to be long enough that it gets from the bottom of the page to the top, because there's going to be nothing worse than running out of thread halfway up the page. So fingers crossed that I've got enough thread, and that is what it's looking like. So just a simple running stitch. So I'm going to carry on with this and I'll come back. I've just come to the last stitch on the page, so I did have enough thread, so I'm glad about that. And all I'm going to do is just weave this thread in and out of the back of the stitches. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some microport over the top. How much further down can I go? I can't go all the way down. Scissors. Mainly because I don't want that thread coming undone. But I'm only going to put it over the end of where I've just cut that thread off. And that should hopefully prevent it from coming undone. And the other thing that I can then do is just to cover over a bit of that. Maybe not that one. I've used the others up. Might have to find another sticky label. I could put a little sticky label on there, or maybe something like, you know, like one of these little tickets or something. And as you can see, look, I've added the top of that bag here as a belly band, and I put this card behind the back part of it, and then I can put something in the front. I've also added the corner pocket. I've added it at the top so that I can insert a big journaling card in there. I'm going to embroider on that in a minute. I'll come back to that in a sec. Lady was asking about the matte gel because she found that when she was putting her watered down PVA or any other glue that she was using, especially as this is going to be sitting on top of this bit here, she asked if it stuck together. Well, that's one of the reasons why I don't use Mod Podge, because that's one of the things that Mod Podge does. So if there's Mod Podge on top of there and on top of here, and I sit that on top, they'll end up sticking together, and that's why I don't use it. So no, this doesn't do that. The same with Ranger's Multimedia Matte. It really gives it a nice matte finish, and I did actually put that glue on the top of this section here, and it's completely dry. It's not tacky at all, although I've yet to do that bit. So as you can see, I've been doing little bits and pieces. I punched out the border edge here on that book page, so that now flips open, and I added some of that pink sticky back ribbon that I found. And that's kind of as far as I've got at the moment. But what I have done is I've gone through my stash of my already made up bits and pieces that I've got, and I thought about adding that one on there. Now this was from one of the paper bag videos that I did, so that will open up, and I've opened up the end of a paper bag there and there, so that will stick to the page, and then you've got a double pocket there. I've found these little mini notepad things that I made as well, again in another video, and I thought about adding that in there, and I used up some of my scraps of my marbling paper, so that's that bit on there. And then I've got this little double heart paper clip, which again another video that I've done, and I did think about adding that on this book page to keep it secured so that it doesn't flop open, and I thought that the colour on that goes really well. And then you've got the pretty heart on the back as well, and then I've got this bookmark I might add in there. And then another thing that I found was in my stash was I'd got these. I haven't got a clue where I got them from, but I did like it with that front bit there. So what I'm thinking of doing is making a really nice big tag to go in this pocket, and then I'll add that to the top of the tag, and I'll have it protruding out from the pocket so that this tab bit here sits on top of the flap of that envelope, and then it will hold that envelope flap down in place. Did some faux stitching, but adding just these little extra little bits is what's made all the difference to this journal. When I put things in place as well, thinking, well, yeah, that would look quite nice on there, so I'll sit that in there until I'm ready to work on it, so I can start to get a feel of what it looks like. On this piece of fabric, what I'm going to do, or what I've started doing, is I'm just doing a running stitch around the edge of it. It frays like mad, does this fabric. Oh, sorry, I'm out of shot. So if I put this little running stitch all the way around, then if it frays, it will fray up to the stitching, and I don't mind that, and I can follow the grain of the fabric for a straight line, but you may need to draw a sewing line on your fabric if you're not very good at straight lines, but don't use a pencil, because the lead in the pencil, the thread will pick it up and mark your thread as you're sewing over the top of it. So try and use a proper fabric marking pen if you need to draw your line on. Again, because this is a linen type thread, you could actually pull out one of the warp and one of the weft threads to give you a line to stitch on. So I'm going to carry on doing this sewing, and then I'll come back and show you the next bit. One of the things that I'd suggested on the Facebook group was a little weekend project. I suggested it on Friday. A little weekend project was to get some of your stamps out and some permanent stamping ink, so like the archival ink. This colour's plum that I've been using, and to actually stamp onto your fabrics. So as you can see, I've done a little bit, not a lot, but I've done a little bit. So I've got all these little pieces, and what I was going to do was place my piece of fabric on there. Got a scrappy bit of book page left, so I'm going to put that on there, then the lace, and then I've got a scrappy little bit of fabric that I stamped a border on, so I thought I could put that on there. And then one of the stamped images that I've just shown you, I've cut it out into a circle. I'm going to plonk that on there and then attach all of those together with a button. So what I'm initially going to do is I'm going to get, oh sorry, not the camera, sorry about that, get my Fabri-Tac glue, and I'm just going to plonk, literally plonk some glue across the top, so that all of these pieces are going to be roughly held together. But with the circle one, I want to miss that centre bit because that's where the button's going to go. And this one, I'm only going to put a little bit at the top there. Put that in place. And I want that lower than that. And then that can go on there like that. And then I can get my needle and thread and sew that button on there. So that's that little element then made. And then I've got some of the leftover paper that I dyed, and I've cut them so that, well, I've ripped them so that they're the width of the piece of fabric. The one at the back is the right length as the piece of fabric, and the other two I've ripped a little bit shorter so that it makes a little bit of a waterfall type effect there. So I will then attach those to the fabric by stitching through the fabric, and then I'll glue that in place, and that's probably when I'll stitch the button on, because I'll stitch through all of those layers. I've just clipped the fabric and the pages all together to just hold them in place whilst I'm going to sew, and I'm going to do a buttonhole stitch, well, a blanket stitch really, because it's wider. Buttonhole stitch is really close together, but it's pretty much the same stitch. So I'm going to form a loop and then go through all 4 layers, bring the needle up on the outside of the thread, but with that loopy thread underneath my needle, so it now forms a lock around the paper and the edge of the fabric. So hang on, move my scissors out the way because they're getting in my road. So form a loop, pop the needle into the fabric and through all the papers, bring it up from underneath so that that loop is underneath the needle, and pull it through. And it now forms a lock on the end of the fabric. Form your loop, down into the fabric and paper, tilt your needle up so that the loop is underneath the needle, so it's like that, and then pull the thread through. Let's see if I can do one mid-air for you to see. So pop my needle down, flip it up from underneath, make sure that that loop's underneath the needle, and pull it through. Okay, do it again. Down, I've got to mind my fingers that I don't poke them. Down through the fabric and paper, tilt the needle, make sure that that loop's underneath the needle, and pull the needle and thread through. So I'm going to do that all the way across, and then I'll add the button. So the knack is to try and get the same distance between each of these individual stitches. Okay. And don't pull it too tight either. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, be-doo. Got stuck. And then there to there, pull it through, there, down, up, pull it through, down, there, tilt it up, pull it through, and there, tilt it up, pull it through. Now you'll find sometimes, especially doing these kind of stitches, that your thread will twist as you're stitching, and so you need to twiddle your needle so that you're unravelling that thread to prevent it from curling round and round. Only a couple more to go. Well, I say a couple, maybe 3. Which is certainly not a couple. So I've only just got enough thread. Ooh, I think I can squeeze one more if I'm very careful. There. Oh, look at that. Can I do it? Can I do it? Oh no, it's stuck. Come on, don't stick. Don't get caught on that corner, because you're going to unravel my needle. Whew. And then I can turn it over to the back and it's just a series of straight stitches. So now, in fact, I'm going to put the needle down and bring it through to the back. There we go. And then feed it through the back of those stitches. And feed it through as far as it'll go. Okay. Chop that off. And again, just going to put a little bit of micropore on the back to just prevent that from unravelling due to usage. And then I can unclip that. And then again with my fabric tack glue, I'm just going to put some glue on the back of there to hold it in place. And I want it hanging off this edge over here, so that it's off kilter, so to speak. And then needle and thread, because it's up in this top right hand corner, top left hand corner. Blimey, I don't know my left from my right. I'm just going to come through the fabric and all of those layers to come up in the centre. Get my button, and I'm just going to stitch it down in place with one stitch for now. Because then I can come back up, if I can get it in the right place, I can. Woohoo! And I'm going to take it off there, come back up in the same place again, and take it off there. Same place again, can find the hole. There we go. And take it off there. And then I'm going to do the same in the other side. One. Two. Come on, hole, where are you? I'll tell you what, we'll do it the other way. We'll come up on the outside edge. And we'll go back down into the hole. Seeing as I can't find the hole, there we go. So now we've got a little bit of decorative stitching on the button as well. Finish that off on the back. And then I can place some glue on the back of that. And stick that on that page. So that's what this page now looks like with that extra little bit of an embellishment on, and it just goes to show that stamping on fabric, it can turn out really nicely. Okay, I'm signing off for the day now. I've had enough for today. Hope you've enjoyed some more little snippets of what I've been doing in this journal. I'll no doubt be back with another video on it as well. So I'll see you all again really soon. Thanks for joining me again. See you later. Bye.